Hey, what's going on everyone? Today we're going to do a review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Now all the content that I've seen on this phone hasn't really hit on some of the big things that I think it should, and my hope is to cover that today. Things like the battery, the performance, the screen and the screen being curved, and obviously tying the S Pen into all of that, particularly the screen. Now my question of the day for you to spend $1,000 or more on a phone, what does it need to have? What feature or features would make that phone worth $1,000 in your eyes? And you're allowed to say nothing. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Really quick though, my wife and I did just get a puppy. He's being good right now, but if you hear him in the background, I apologize. I'll try to keep that noise to a minimum. Now the Note 9, let's start with the battery. Samsung advertises all-day battery life on this phone. So, how does it do? I've been using it for a couple of weeks. Let me jump over here into my gallery and make sure I don't put anybody on blast. Alright, so here's the battery. I don't know how well you guys can see that on screen. Let me see if I can get it to focus. This is a screenshot from the other day. 2 hours of screen on time, 11 hours on the battery, about an hour and a half of streaming audio, 55% left. Okay, not horrible, but not all day for sure. Now, here's another one. Same day, once we ran it down to 50, 2 hours and 24 minutes screen on time, hour and a half of audio streaming, 50% battery. And you can see here, my YouTube usage is only at 30 minutes. Netflix isn't even on there. It's a relatively light day for me, and I'm only pacing for 5 hours screen on time. Something else that's key that's not on here, the always on display. This being an AMOLED panel, I don't use the always on display. I'm paranoid about burn-in. So that's a feature that I don't even use personally, but I know a lot of people like it. And that would certainly worsen my battery. Now, like I said, I've been using this phone for a couple weeks as my daily driver, and the battery, that's pretty consistent. 5, maybe 6 hours of screen on time. That is not an all-day battery. And my routine, because I'm trying to give you guys as much contextual information as I can, my screens are always at 50 to 60% brightness. I charge my phone before I leave work every day for about an hour and a half or so, because these phones all have quick charge now, so there's no need to charge it overnight. So the battery itself typically has about 22 hours on it, maybe over 24 depending on how good the battery is. That's just of the phone being on, nothing special there. And I'm consistently getting 5 to 6 hours screen on time. That's just not good enough. If you guys saw my review of the Mi Mix 2S, I consistently get about 6 hours screen on time of this thing, despite the battery itself being smaller. Just as a benchmark to try and give you guys that information, the battery's nothing spectacular. It's very average. Now what about the performance? Snapdragon 845 in here. I'm not going to do any benchmarks or anything like that. You can look those up online elsewhere. I mean, I've got Nova on here when you're jumping into stuff, launching apps. This Score app I have is actually a pretty heavy app. It doesn't launch super quick. It actually launches faster on my Mi Max 3, believe it or not. I mean, the app's just not launching that fast. Try to give you something similar over here on the Mix, and these are both on Wi-Fi, another one's on cellular. Faster. I mean, I'm not going to do side by side, just I think you guys kind of get what I'm going at. For $1,000, this is the same chip as the Mix, same storage spec, same amount of RAM, 6 gigs on each, because this is the base. It's just kind of you know, performance is good, but you have to use TouchWiz, or if you want to be technical, the Samsung Experience. It's really the same thing. I mean, they just changed the name of it. It doesn't perform any better overall. At least in my experience, it doesn't. So the performance has just been pretty mediocre overall. I don't like Samsung skin. I used to back in the days of TouchWiz on the Note 2, 3, 4. I mean, it offered a lot of software stuff that other skins didn't. Not the case here. The big People's Edge, S Pen Edge over here on the right, I actually turned off because with the curve, I'd keep bumping it and just hate it. So the curve, the screen, there's something I want to show you guys that I have seen literally nobody talk about. A buddy of mine at work actually bought a Note 9, and he didn't even realize this was going on until I asked him about it. Now, let me make sure I don't put anybody on blast here. I want to open up just a dummy text message thread. All right, this is SwiftKey. Not Samsung stock keyboard, which I will show you here in a second. Look at the edges of the screen. 1Q, caps, or shift, numbers. 0P, backspace, enter. It's kind of hard to make out on camera, but those keys actually wrap around the curve. That might not seem like a big deal, but it makes the keys themselves smaller. And the phone already is incredibly narrow. So I actually had more typos on this phone than I have on any phone that I've used in recent memory because of the curve. It's just, come on, guys. Come on. You can't go in SwiftKey. You can go in and adjust the size of the keyboard, but it still fits the screen. You can't go in and set custom dimensions. I don't know of any keyboard that you can do that with. But as promised, let's take a look at Samsung's keyboard. Give me just a second here to pull it up in my settings. If we switch the default keyboard back to Samsung's, here's what we get. The keys themselves don't go all the way to the edge, because Samsung knows, you know. But I'm personally not going to use Samsung's keyboard. I've been using SwiftKey back when it used to cost $4. Now it's free, so it was way back in the day. There's a little troublemaker. Here he comes. SwiftKey I like a lot. I've got a lot of predictions saved in there. A lot of times it knows what I'm going to say before I ever type it, so that's just something to consider. My buddy at work that I just mentioned, he also uses SwiftKey, and he was just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That would be why I have so many typos. You know, it's just, nobody's talking about the curve on the screen. The screen looks beautiful, Samsung AMOLED, you expect nothing less. But let's talk about the screen a little bit more. Sorry for that little camera bump there. Let's talk about the screen a little bit more. 6.4 inch screen, 18.5 by 9 aspect ratio. Okay, well, here is a phone, Galaxy Mega. This came out in either 2012 or 2013, I don't remember. This is a 6.3 inch screen next to 6.4. 16 by 9 like you'd see on a TV or most monitors. 18.5 by 9. Now, I said we're going to tie the S Pen into it, so let's think about this S Pen. How do you write on your phone? Would it be nicer to hold it in one hand like this and have a lot more real estate going, horizontally? Or are you going to do this and write that way? I mean, especially with the curve, I feel so cramped that I haven't pulled out the S Pen to use it at all. I've done a screenshot and like cropped it a little bit with the S Pen once in 2 weeks. Once. It's, that's kind of how I feel about it. Now, the Mi Max 3, 6.9 inch screen. I'll do a video here soon on buying from places overseas, because that's what I did with this one, and now the screen won't turn on, but I still have the phone to show you for reference. 6.9, the screen is 18 by 9, not 18.5 by 9. Now, the phone itself is obviously bigger. The Mi Max 3 retails for about $260 for the base model, so it's obviously going to be bigger on the bezels and everything. And I don't think I actually showed you these two side by side here, so let's do that. Again, bigger bezels, but you can see the screen sticking out there on the Mega, the width-wise. I apologize, my dog is now sitting directly under my camera tripod, and I'm hoping he doesn't bump it when he walks away. Alright, so last thing with the screen, 6.4. There is now an iPhone with a 6.5 inch screen. Think about that. The token, phablet king, business, get stuff done phone is smaller than the iPhone. And you're probably thinking, okay, sure man, but the iPhone, it's got a notch. Yeah, it does. I hate the notch. But here we've got the curve, and I hate the curve just as much. It makes the keyboard less usable. It makes this pen useless in my opinion. Just why, Samsung? It doesn't provide any actual benefit. This thing looks like a TV remote, which is ironic because there's no IR blaster, so you can't actually control anything. It's just dumb. Now, price-wise, $1,000. Would I recommend this? No. I know I didn't go into other things like the camera and the fingerprint scanner. Fingerprint scanner's fine. I wish I would have done a circle like everybody else. Camera's good, but that's what you expect from Samsung. Same sensor that's in the S9, S9 Plus, just different software per usual with them. I mean, I'm not knocking them. It's a good camera, just, for $1,000, I'd expect something a little bit better. Now, $1,000, recommend it? Hard no. I actually found myself using the Max 3, a $300 phone, over this phone. The Mi Mix 2S. This phone has a Snapdragon 845. Same storage spec, same amount of RAM, like I already said. It is a bit smaller at 5.9 inches instead of 6.4, but there's no curve, and I get better battery life on it. I obviously get better battery life on the Max. That video is coming soon, but I definitely prefer the Mix over the Note. and you can buy 2 of these for one of those. If we're talking about $500-600, I'm still taking the Mix. I think MIUI 10 and MIUI 9 even is a much better experience overall than on Samsung. I have a video of that on my channel if you want to see a little bit of it. I'll do one in depth of the Mi Mix 2S also, because this just got the official global update for MIUI 10. I use Nova Launcher on both. Just, there we go. Fingerprint sensor not working on the Note. Surprise, surprise. It's just $500-600. Would I say don't buy the Note? No. If you really want it, you don't care about the annoying Bixby button, the curved screen, you don't care about those things. Okay, if you're doing a BOGO, you really want to buy a phone from a carrier, then go for it with the Note. But I wouldn't personally. Now, the screen again, people talk about how great it is. To show you on here, same deal, about halfway brightness. I was mowing the yard this morning, so it's a little bit brighter so I could see it outside. Side by side, the Note obviously looks better screen-wise, which you can't really see on camera. You can't see what they actually look like, but you know, half brightness, way brighter, colors look more rich. But as soon as you take the Note away and you're only looking at the one phone that you bought, it's like, okay, well, this looks fine. You know, is it an AMOLED? No. Do I know it's not the best screen on the market? Sure. Do I care? No, because this is all that I see. It's the same thing with TVs. I used to sell TVs, and you've got people standing there going, man, this screen looks so much better on this TV. Do I really want to spend that extra, few $100 to get it? It's like, okay, well, what you're upgrading over, once you get it home, you're going to be happy. You're upgrading over this old tube TV to, a high-def, flat screen TV, plasma TV, whatever. Once you get this thing in your house, it's going to look phenomenal. Same thing applies with phone screens. I mean, it really does. It's the $300, looks washed out compared to both of these actually, but when you don't have those 2 phones to compare it to, it looks fine. It really does. So that's my review of the Note. I'll do another quick video of things that I don't like about the phone. We'll try to hit it more, I guess, in depth or quickly. Not really sure, but I will be returning this phone later today, actually. For $1,000, bought it with my own money. Not worth it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'll be doing videos soon on buying from Chinese manufacturers, like I said, because this thing won't even turn on anymore, and how to spot ones that are bad versus ones that you can trust. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.